In today's video, we're checking out the Tubesteader ROY. This is a VOX in a box pedal that absolutely rocks. If you love the top boost channel on a VOX AC15 or AC30, you're going to get a kick out of this. This is a dual channel pedal, but both channels are the same. So you can set one up with less gain and one set up with more. There's a real 12 AX7 right in the center here. And being that I used to play VOX amps exclusively live for a long time, I'm very familiar with the sound. And this completely changes the sound of my amplifiers, and I'll showcase that coming right up. And massive thanks to Ollie from Tubesteader for sending this out. If you want to check it out, I'll link it down in the description box. Here we go. As you could hear from that intro track, it completely transformed the clean tone of my Marshall. We're also going to test this out on my Fender Blues Deluxe and Peavey Bandit coming up, so stay tuned for that. I'll just give you a quick rundown. So as I mentioned, it's a two-channel pedal. Both channels are the same. It's nice and simple. We've got one gain and one volume control on each side, and you can simply switch by using the channel selection switch on this side. There's a two-band EQ which features bass and treble, much like the VOX AC15 and 30. There's no mids control, which is pretty standard. And there's also on the top here, the tone cut dial, which you'll find on an actual amplifier. Now, if you're unfamiliar with my channel, I used to play VOX amps exclusively, and having the tone cut on this pedal is great because if you know VOX tones, they tend to be really heavily mid-scooped, but they're also quite bright. So you can really dial in a sound that works for your particular rig. The Tubesteader ROY features a real 12 AX7 here, and while the pedal runs on 12 volt DC and draws 350 milliamps and it comes with its own power supply, internally it's running at 260 volts. So after a while when you're using this, it actually heats up quite a lot, and you can see that the tube is actually on. You can see the little filaments or whatever they're called in there glowing, which is pretty wild. So unlike a lot of pedals that put tubes in there that might not be running at the intended voltage to make them work, this actually gets quite warm. On this side of the pedal over here, we have a 3.5mm socket, which allows you to get an external foot switch if you prefer to use two. But yeah, the on-off switch is over here, and the channel selection switch is on this side. Just note, you can't stack both sides. It's set up so you've got the same sound twice, or you can set up a very different sound. That's the beauty of it. You can essentially mimic your tone, one with less gain and volume, and then one with more gain and more volume, or however you like to use it. It really does transform the amp, and we're going to start with my Fender Blues Deluxe, and then we'll get over to the solid state Peavey Bandit, and you can let me know what you think of this. And massive thanks to Ollie for sending this out. Again, if you want to check it out, I'll link it below. Let's kick things off by seeing if we can transform the tone of the Fender Blues Deluxe reissue back here. Now, my amplifier is loaded with an Eminent Swamp Thing speaker, and it's got that big round full sound, the opposite of a VOX amplifier. So we're going to see if we can bring back some of that British chime thanks to the ROY. Now, I've got the amp mic'd up with a Sennheiser E906 and a Shure SM57, so no IRs or anything like that. This is the actual amp, neck pickup. and back off. Now, I used to play a VOX AC15 and an AC30 live for years, and they inherently have a way more mid-scoop tone than the Fender, and that's exactly what I'm hearing. I'm also hearing more top end, which is pretty wild. So that's doing a really great job, giving me a very different starting clean tone to that of my Fender Blues Deluxe. Let's check out the gain structure on the pedal. I'm actually going to start with it a little bit less than before. Man, that just got so much louder once I cranked up the gain. So I'm just going to back the volume off a hair here. Let's crank up the drive all the way. Here we go. I mean, that's a great classic rock sound. It really does sound and feel like the amp under my fingers. Let's check out the dual channel option on this pedal. So the left side is set up cleaner. The right side is set up for more of a louder or crunchier rhythm tone. You can use it for lead, whatever you like. So let's have a listen to this. I'll play something you might know to showcase the difference in just the settings here. That's great. If you're an Edge fan, you can definitely make this work. Up next, I'm going to show you a 2-in-1. So if you're a tally player who likes to do some of that country picking, this pedal really gives you that VOX sound. If you've ever plugged a tally into a VOX, you know what I'm talking about. So I've got the gain cranked on this side over here. I'm going to start with my volume control down. Let's have a listen. So it's basically clean or right on the edge of breakup. I mean, have a listen to this. It's with the pedal off. Yeah, so to my ear, that sounds like a VOX. Let us know what you think. Over to my Peavey Bandit, and this is loaded with an Eminence Texas heat speaker, and I'm on the vintage clean channel. So this is how the clean channel sounds. Again, that completely transformed the Peavey Bandit, which is awesome. And the cool thing with this pedal is, say I'm on the left-hand side channel, I turn it off, I turn it back on, it's going to remember that I was on that channel last, which is pretty cool. Let's talk about the 2-band EQ. Now, up until now, I've had it in exactly the same spot. It's very easy just to set it up the way you like it, switch guitars, and it's still going to work, which is cool. But I've got it set now to roughly 12 o'clock or so. It's a bit hard to see on this angle, but I'll move each of the controls around. You can see how it impacts the overall tone. This is neck. So you can already tell how much that impacted the top end just by turning the treble control. So let's bring that back to about 10 or 11 o'clock now. That's That's great. Let's try bridge. That's great. You can just make subtle adjustments and it can either give you more or less bottom end or treble. Let's also now just bring out a little bit of that low end, and this will be the last pass here. That's super musical. Let us know what you think. Let's take a look at the tone cut circuit on the top here. And this is like a global EQ for the high end. You can turn it one way, it's going to brighten up. Turn it the other way, it's going to roll out some of that top end. And again, this is separate from the 2-band EQ over here. It's been in the center the entire time, but I've switched guitars over to the Tokai Love Rock. So let's have a listen to how this sounds with the tone cut in exactly the same spot. Tone cut to the side facing me. So it's brighter. Now to the opposite side. I tell you what, I like it right in the center. I think it's the sweet spot. Awesome. Now I've got a speaker in this Peavey Bandit that tends to take out a little bit of top end, so depending on your situation you might need to set it up differently, but for my rig at least, having that tone cut dead center sounds great. Let's wrap this up. I'm going to give you my final thoughts on the ROY from Tubesteader. If you're a VOX fan and you don't want to have to carry around an AC30, which I don't blame you, this is an awesome pedal, and again, it completely transformed my amplifiers. Whether I was playing through the Peavey Bandit, the Marshall in that jam track, or the Fender Blues Deluxe, you can hear the inherent difference between the voicing of this on in the circuit and just the standard amplifier tone. So it really does nail that sound. Additionally, you can also run this into an IR situation. So if you just want to run this into a cab sim on your computer or some sort of independent IR loader, you can absolutely do that as well. So it gives you that functionality. This doesn't have a speaker sim built into it, but you can always add that in your signal chain if you're using something, you know, separate for that. But yeah, what a great sounding pedal. Let us know what you think. Ollie, man, well done. You've made a really great sounding Vox in a box, maybe the best one so far. So well done. If you want to check this out, I'll link it below. Thanks again. Catch you soon. See ya.